In this video, I want to show you what a minimum viable go-to-market strategy consists of and why you need those components in place. So come with me. Here's my screen. What you see here is the result of a brainstorm with an actual client. And what we have here in the first place is the ideal client profile. So it's the crux of your strategy to, when you're going to market with a new product, to really identify who the best fit companies are. And a lot of companies stop at defining the industry and the geography and perhaps the size and maybe one or two other factors, but you really want to dig a lot deeper than that. Because if you really are able to define your ideal customer profile and then tailor your offering, at least the messaging and the positioning to that ideal buyer profile, then you're going to be a lot more successful. So the other things that we look at here, besides the industry and vertical where we have the geography and size components, we're going to go into the maturity, because a lot of times you're selling a solution and some companies will already have solved that problem for themselves. So you don't want to target them. Some companies are too immature for you to work with them and to adequately help them. Then you want to understand the main challenges and the pain points, okay? And then here we have an entire separate section on signals. So what are the signals that a company might emit, meaning hiring for certain roles or maybe expanding to another geography? So if these signals are relevant, then you'll know that these companies might be a good fit for your product or service. And then obviously you want to understand the strategic goals of the company and of each of the buying committee members who are going to decide about which product or service they will purchase. And then after you've defined the ideal profile for the buyer company, you're going to want to dissect the buying committee, because these decisions, when you're selling B2B products that are above a certain contract value, usually above 10K, 15K, or 20K per year, then you're going to have multiple people decide over whether or not to go ahead with you. In that, we have typical roles. So we have the champion, who is typically the person closest to the problem, but is not the decision maker. The champion is going to champion your solution internally. We're going to have an influencer who a lot of people listen to because they've been around for a while or are knowledgeable, but they're not really taking part formally in the selection process, nor are they making the decision. And obviously you have the decision maker and you have blocker, which is people who are opposing your solution for whatever political or other reasons, okay? And then you're going to want to look at, especially for the champion, you'll really want to understand what is influencing their purchasing decision, what risks are they facing if they don't solve their problems, what are the main objections for a service like yours, and what is some convincing material that will help them understand your solution and your framing better, and where can they be reached? So what platforms are they visiting? What associations are they typically part of? Okay, so all of this stuff you want to nail down. Right, and the next thing we do is, depending on the product or the service, we're going to want to fine-tune the offer for the initial go-to-market sequences and the initial account-based marketing campaigns. Because what often happens is that if you have a big-ass enterprise product, such as is the case with this client who have a factory automation product, software, and it has 1 million modules, so we've decided that for the initial campaigns, because the solution is so modular, we're just going to go to market with one specific module that is very sexy, it has AI, and it's the most sellable component. And obviously, once they sell this component, this module, they can expand and implement the other modules as well, okay? So a lot of times it's worth it to scrutinize the offer and see if it really fits the ideal buying momentum of your typical buyer, and to make the decision as easy as possible for them by streamlining and breaking down the product or the offering. We brainstorm what the main idea is going to be that's going to hook them and have them paying attention, what the unique mechanism is. So what are we telling people about why our product or why our service is special, what process is behind it, how it's made, why it's better than the competitors. And this is not the features, basically. We're not looking at differentiating features. We're looking one level deeper than features. Then we have proof, because customers want to see proof. So a great offering will display a substantial amount of proof that what they're buying has been tried before and tested, and there's proof behind it. And we love this one last thing, the guarantee. So if you can somehow take the risk off of the buyer with a guarantee, then it's really gonna make for a good offering. It's gonna make it a lot easier and a lot safer for them to say yes to your offering. And then once we have this, what we jump into is what we call the transformation matrix. And the transformation matrix is basically a tool to help us map how you are taking the buyer from an undesirable before state where they're full of problems and they're stuck and they're frustrated, which is the state they are in right now, and what's going to happen after they will have implemented your solution. And we look at different layers to this transformation, the material layer, the psychological layer, what it means for their day-to-day, and a couple of other layers. So this is, again, a brainstorming, and the results of this are going to be compiled over here in this beautiful, not so beautiful spreadsheet, but again, highly useful. And the result of this, or one outcome, is that you're going to have copy and paste arguments and lines for all your sales and marketing materials. And if you make this little tool, this little spreadsheet available to the sales team, to the marketing team, and you tell them that, hey, this is where you can copy paste stuff from when you're writing to clients, then it's going to make your messaging more centralized and more consistent, because people are going to be using what you have determined rather than whatever comes out of their minds. Okay. Now, the next component of strategy, and then in GTM wedge terms, we're over now on the message side. We're going on the message side, is the brand narrative, the brand script. And this is huge. We're basing this on the story brand framework, if you're familiar with that. And the idea behind the brand script is that people are drawn in by narratives. So when you're going to market, you are wise to construct a narrative that is about how your buyer, as a hero, is solving their problem with your help. Stories and narratives just work really well on the human mind. And if you think about it, if somebody starts telling you a story with the right structure, you can't help but pay attention. And you want to use this in your go-to-market, in your sales and your marketing. So you want to have stories, and you want to have one particular story, which is the brand narrative, okay? And the brand narrative has these specific components, 7 components. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a story that is not a sexy narrative, but it has all of the components that you need to implement and put into your messaging, into your sales conversations, into your website, into your webinars, so that it's the story that keeps getting repeated in your buyer's mind, and they're just sucked into your specific version of selling this problem. Some other things that we do are a competitor analysis based on competitors' positioning and competitors' messaging. This comes in useful and handy when we are doing positioning. And obviously, we also create a content plan for 90 days of the major content components. And obviously, you want to have a 90-day GTM strategy of the major programs, the major marketing and sales programs that you're going to run. So this was just a short summary of what we think the minimum viable go-to-market strategy is. I hope you found it useful. If you need help with this, we're there. Get in touch with us, and see you later.